Adriana.
And I'm Jen.
And welcome to another exciting season of Two Moms in the Kitchen.
This season is sure to bring you some great new recipes, many tips and tricks for working in the kitchen, a whole lot of good conversation, and a great deal of fun.
We know that the world looks a little different now, but we hope that we can bring some joy and laughter into your home each episode.
We are so excited to be back.
Hi and welcome back. Today we have a really busy day. We are making 3 soups and we're so excited for them. So one of the soups is a Thai coconut soup with chicken and rice. And then we've got a red lentil soup recipe with vegetables, which can be vegan. And then the third one is
A loaded potato soup. Yes.
So excited.
Great comfort food for this time of year.
I know, the nights are getting so cold now,
Yes.
so we're so excited to be doing soup. So we're gonna get started with the Thai coconut soup because it has a few extra steps, and then we will go along as we go along. So the first thing we need to do is get the rice going. This recipe calls for 1.5 cups of cooked rice. If you have leftover rice from a prior recipe, wonderful. I did not have that, so we're gonna do 1 cup of dry rice into the rice cooker, and that calls for 1 3/4 cups of water. So we'll do. Now, if you don't have a rice cooker, you can do this on the stove. I just find that the rice cooker is easier for me because I'm often preparing other things, and the rice cooker will turn itself off, and you will not get burned rice. There we go. Okay. I'm also going to be adding a cube of chicken bouillon because it flavors the rice, and I think rice needs to be a little bit flavored.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
kind of a bland thing. So this will get going. The next thing we have to do is, this calls for 1 to 2 chicken breasts. If you have chicken breast left over from another recipe, great, put it in. I didn't, so we're going to just boil it and then shred it and then put it in the soup because it's going to simmer for about 30 minutes and will take on all the flavors. So you don't have to worry too much about flavoring this. Maybe just add a little bit of salt to the water and you should be fine to go from there. Alrighty, we'll get this on the stove. When the rice and the chicken are done, we'll come back and we will show you the next steps. Oh, look at all of our pots. Getting ready. This isn't even all of them yet. No. So we will be right back when this is all set for the Thai soup. Okay, so we're going to continue on with our Thai coconut soup. So our next step is to grate a carrot. Nothing magical about this. No really work around here.
No.
You gotta do it.
Watch your knuckles.
Yep.
And your fingernails. Yep.
Alrighty. When a mandolin grate?
That's more of slices, yeah. Unless you have a special one that's got, I at one time had one that I could interchange the blades.
Yeah.
So one would grate, one would slice, all that kind of
all the
stuff.
fancy things.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 1 carrot. I'm not allowed to use a mandolin anymore because I sliced off the top of my finger.
Yes.
And my husband banned them. So, you know, I tried to sneak one in and he was like,
Yeah.
don't even think about it. So, all right, so we've got our cooked chicken here. We're just going to get that on the cutting board and shred it. Now, if you're very fancy, you can put it in your KitchenAid mixer. I don't know if it would work in a Bosch or anything else, but I've done this before where I put it in with the paddle attachment and you let it spin.
Really?
And it does such a good job.
Huh.
Yep.
That's good to know.
Yep. Especially when you have a lot of chicken, like if you're doing like a big meal,
Right.
it just, you put everything in there, done. In fact, you have to be careful because it can pulverize.
Oh, yeah. No,
So
you don't want paste.
No, don't do that. But just a little bit of shredding is fine.
I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Oh, well, thank you. I have shredded many chickens in my life. Thank you, thank you. Okay. And as it cooks in the soup, it will come apart a little bit too.
Yeah.
You'll be okay with that. Okay, so that's our first chicken. Oh, you can see a little bits there. And if you want it to be a little bit chunkier, that's fine too. You know, this really up to your preference of how you like your soup. There we go. Okay, last chicken. Or you could omit the chicken totally.
Yes.
And just have a rice soup if you wanted to. But
it's got the chicken flavor with the bouillon cube in the rice. So yeah, if you wanted to just keep it.
Yeah. If you're short on time and you just want to get going, go for it.
Or you could probably do a rotisserie chicken.
Yeah.
It's already done and just, shred it by hand again.
Yeah, we did that last week with
We did,
rotisserie.
Yeah. Lots of shortcuts.
Totally. And you could make this dish vegan because the only thing really is the chicken soup, the chicken. And then if you used vegetable broth, coconut milk is fine. Everything else I think is fine if you wanted to go vegan.
Yeah.
Oh, it does have a little bit of butter, so just be mindful of that. You can use something else. There's vegan butters or there's olive oil or different types of things. Okay, there we go. Chicken is shredded. Okay, so we're gonna move over to the stove now to get everything cooked up. We've got to add a lot of seasonings. This is a very flavorful soup. And then we'll get it simmering. Okay, so we're ready to put together our Thai soup. Thai coconut soup with chicken and rice. So the first thing we need is some butter. This recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of butter. If you choose to do 3 tablespoons, great. If you want to cut it down a little bit, that's fine too. It's up to you where you are in your love of butter. Let's take a little piece off. So that's 1, 2, 3-ish. I don't really measure. I don't worry too much about butter. Okay, there we go. Okay, while that is going, that's going to melt and we're going to add some things to it. We're going to start worrying about the seasonings because we've got quite a few going on in here. So the first one is curry powder. We need half a teaspoon. So this is a 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon. So we'll do 1, 2 of that. And the next one is a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. There we go. I promise with all these seasonings, it's gonna be worth it. You're gonna love it. Okay, the next one is, let's see, paprika. Again, a 1/4 teaspoon.
Lots of nice warm flavors in there.
Okay, let's see, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. There we go. 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. Keeping with the warm themes. Okay, ginger. Am I done? What? Curry, cinnamon, ginger, paprika, salt, chili. So this calls for 1/8 or a 1/4 if you like it hotter. So we'll just go do a touch because we don't want to offend the children.
A pinch.
Ever. Okay, so our butter is melting nicely. It's looking super, super good. We're gonna go ahead and add in the carrots. Oh, sorry, I lied. We're gonna do the spices first because we want to awaken them. Okay, we're just gonna do it for about 30 seconds just to get them going. There we go. There we go. Oh, you smell that, Jen?
I do.
That's the goods right there.
Yummy.
Good, good, good. Okay, next is the carrots, our grated carrot. It's just again to soften. There we go. Okay. So this is gonna go for about 5 minutes until the carrots are soft. So we'll be right back when we have reached that point. Okay, our carrots are nice and softened and we're gonna add the rest of the ingredients and then we're gonna bring it to a boil and then bring it to a low boil for about 5 minutes and then your soup is done and it's gonna be so good. Okay, so we got our water that we're going to add a bouillon cube to. Again, you can do chicken or vegetarian or vegetable, depends on what you are trying to accomplish with your soup. So we'll get that in there. Oh, perfect. Okay. Next, we've got our can of coconut milk. Make sure we get all that. Sometimes the coconut milk solidifies, but it's all safe. There we go. Good to go. Let's give that a little stir. Perfection. Oh,
Beautiful
the smells
color.
that
Yeah.
are coming out of this thing is amazing. Okay, next up is our chicken breast that we had shredded up. Good. And then 1.5 cups of cooked rice. Oh, that's still a little bit hot. Where is my heating pad? I'll tell you what. There we go. Okay. And then our cup of rice. Good, good, good. Get it all in there. Don't miss one kernel. Kernel, is that what you call rice? Little thing? I don't know what you call
No.
an individual piece of rice.
I'm drawing a blank.
I know, right? I have no idea. Alrighty, just a few more things. We're almost there. Okay, so we need 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. And then about 2 tablespoons of lime juice. I'm just gonna do a whole lime because I don't have time to measure lime juice. If you have the lime juice that's already refrigerated in a little jar, go for it. There's 1. And this was a kind of small lime, so I'm not gonna worry too much about it. There we go. Okay, oh, don't lose your lime. Don't lose
Extra
it.
flavoring.
Extra, right? Okay, so we're gonna bring this to a boil. And then we're gonna bring it down to a low boil, just kind of a simmering, if you will, for 5 minutes. And then it will be ready to go. So we will show you when we're ready what it looks like. So our next soup is the red lentil soup with vegetables. So what we're gonna need is 2 pieces, or 2 stalks, is that what they're called?
Yep.
Stalks? Yeah. 2 stalks of celery. Now, you're gonna be sauteing this in some olive oil, and then you're going to be using the immersion blender later. So you want them to be of a good size so you can saute them so they'll be soft going into the soup. But if you want it chunky, it can be chunky. But for me, you know, I don't like to eat soup or chew soup. I like to, you know, go very softly so that I don't have to be chewing things. So cut it as you would. It doesn't have to be really uniform. Just keep in mind that we're going to be using the immersion blender or a regular blender, and we'll be talking about that when we get there. So this is just a quick little chop.
A rough chop, I think
Rough
they call
chop,
it.
yes. And the celery always tends to get away from me.
Yes.
There we go. I'm trying to teach my kids to like celery, so we're doing like cream cheese and, you know, peanuts on, or
Peanut butter,
ants
ants on a log, yes.
Yep. We'll see how it goes. It's still touch and go.
Yeah, celery's hit and miss. Sometimes I'm in the mood for it and sometimes I'm not, because it does kind of have more of a bland flavor to it, so you do need to enhance it somehow.
Yeah. Well, we always put it in tuna,
Yes.
you know, and things like that.
Mhm.
Or in like a chicken salad,
Right.
you know, things like that.
Yeah, I do enjoy the crunch of it, but yeah, it does
Doesn't really
need
too much.
No. What do they say about celery? It's the 0 calorie.
Yeah.
Because you chew more, you work off all the calories that you actually ingest.
Yeah, you burn more than it costs.
That's right.
Oh, too funny, this celery stuff. Okay, so I just peeled 3 carrots. And again, just a rough chop. It doesn't have to be super even. We're gonna be sauteing it. Yes. Alrighty. Oh, should have taken out my, what is my,
Oh, your slicer.
clever cleaver? I think
Yes,
it's
your
called.
clever cleaver, yes.
That's all right. We want
All these fun gadgets we get to
Oh, I
use.
tell ya. Okay, so we're almost to the end of this carrot. Okay. There we go. Now, Jen, this is not a trick question.
Uh-oh, okay.
Do you know the difference, and I don't know, I'm just wondering if you know,
Okay.
the difference between red lentils and green lentils and all that, what they do?
I do not.
Oh,
No.
okay, well.
I'm not versed in my lentils.
I'm not either. I'm not either. But we've used lentils in a recipe. We did it with the lentil muffins.
Yes.
And that was with green lentils.
Right.
This recipe calls for red lentils.
Interesting.
I don't know why, but
Something we need to look up.
yes, this is your homework for next week.
All right.
Lentils 101.
I will find out the difference between red and green lentils and report back.
Thank you. I do know that they're really good for you,
Yes.
and I do know that they are delicious when cooked properly.
Yes.
But my mom had a friend who was famous for her lentil soup, and anytime this friend would make it, my mom would freeze it so she'd have food for months.
Smart.
Yes. So that's the beauty of soup, right?
Yes.
Okay, so just again doing a rough chop of these potatoes. Okay, I'll do a little bit smaller. Everything else is a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. My favorite part about making a big batch of soup is then freezing it in individual containers.
Yep.
And that way, you know, for lunches or, well, mainly like if it's just me coming home for lunch, then I can just pull out a container and heat it up, and you've got that nice comfort food, nice warmth on a cold day.
For sure. And then we've also got a large onion that's been chopped already. So there we go. Okay, so that is our vegetables. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna move over to the stove and saute this up a bit and then add the rest of the ingredients in for the soup. Okay, so we're ready to move over to the pot. So we've got a pot here going. We're just gonna put about a tablespoon or so of olive oil. There we go. Okay. We're gonna put our vegetables in there and saute them for about, I would say about 5 minutes until they're nice and soft. Let's get that going. Okay. Okay, so we'll come back in 5 minutes when these are softened, and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes. The vegetables have what they call sweated out.
I think so, yeah.
You can see that the
Softened.
that the onions are a little bit starting to turn a little bit brown and are definitely translucent. So we add the rest of the ingredients in. So what we're going to do is we're adding in some garlic. So this calls for 2 cloves of garlic. I of course do more. So I do 2 heaping teaspoons of garlic, and you're going to let that cook. Just mix that in together and let it cook for like another minute while you get everything else ready. Okay. Now what I like to do is I like to put everything, all the seasonings in a little jar. So this also calls for half a teaspoon of salt. So this is a 1/4 teaspoon, so I need 2 of these. It calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. This also calls for a little bit of cayenne pepper or chili powder. If you want to do that, great. My children have an aversion to anything spicy, so we don't do that. And then a teaspoon of curry powder or cumin. We're going to do curry today just because I love that taste. Okay, let's make sure we got it all. Yes, and then we'll do 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. So we'll get in all of our seasonings. Okay, and then 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now, you don't always use a whole jar of tomato paste, so what you can do is freeze the rest in tablespoon portions so that you are ready to go. And you can do that in little ice cube trays and freeze them individually, and then you are set to go. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. I'm in heaven over here. Perfect. Okay. All right, check that out. See how
Looks
delicious that looks?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Next, we're going to be adding the lentils and the broth. And let me see if we're missing anything else. Lentils, broth, and water. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so we are ready. We're going to add 1 cup of water. And actually, we're going to be adding a little bit more water because I don't always have chicken broth or vegetable broth on hand. So again, these bouillon cubes, super, super helpful. So just throw them in the pot. 1 cube is for 2 cups of water. So the recipe calls for 4 cups of chicken or vegetable stock. So toss them in. Now let's keep filling this thing up. We need 2 more of these. Alrighty. There's 1. Okay, and 2. Okay, and then we add in our lentils. Now, this is 1 cup of lentils, and we've rinsed them, and we're just kind of letting the water come out. You have to rinse them to make sure to get any dirt or anything like that out of it. And we just did the math, and 1 cup of dry lentils will make 3 cups of cooked lentils. So this is really a hearty soup. Okay, so we're gonna let everything simmer in here for about 30 minutes. And then when we come back, we'll finish putting it all together. Okay, so our red lentil soup is finished. We just have to add the last little touch. So the first thing we're gonna do is do the immersion blender. It's a little bit chunky. And again, I like a little bit smoother. So do it to your liking. This is just what I like to do. And it's also a little bit easier to hide the vegetables from your children.
Exactly.
My 2 boys loved this soup. My daughter not so much. But that's not very chunky. Good, right?
Yeah.
I don't see any huge chunks.
No.
Oh, I found one. There we go. Okay, that's good enough for me. Oops.
So just remember to be very careful with the immersion blender because your liquid is still very hot. So just go nice and slow.
Yep, don't need to be crazy with it. Okay, the last steps are to add a little bit of either parsley or cilantro. I tend to be a little bit more of a cilantro fan than parsley. How about you, Jen?
I don't mind cilantro.
Yeah.
You know, you either love it or you hate it.
My husband hates it.
Oh,
So,
that's a divided family.
Yeah,
Oh
it is.
dear.
I gave up a lot when I married him. Cilantro being a very swift blow to my,
Yeah.
yes. But I like it to be not so chopped that you can't see it, but enough that you don't feel like you have green stuff in your teeth. So this is good enough. I have taught him, however, to enjoy things like a cilantro lime dressing.
Yes.
You know, in a salad or something like that. So he will not be partaking of this soup, I don't think. But you know, you sacrifice things in your marriage.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. Okay, and then half of a lemon. Remember our trick that you squeeze a lemon over your hand? Did I get you?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, you're good.
Oh, I saw you move back. And I
Oh,
said, oh, Jen's eyes.
I've got protective
You're good. You're good.
glasses.
So it has lots of seeds in it.
Yeah.
So just be careful with that. Okay, and then when you serve it, you can add a little bit of olive oil to the top if you want to, for a little bit of extra goodness. And you can also serve it with an additional lime wedge to have anybody who wants that extra little bit of lime in there. Super delicious. I hope you enjoyed this recipe.
Okay, so the last soup that we're going to do is a loaded potato soup. This is a family favorite of ours. What you're going to need is 4 to 5 pounds of russet tomatoes. Tomatoes, yeah. Russet potatoes chopped up. So I've got quite a few here done already, just to save time. It says in the recipe to keep the skins on. My family's hit or miss when it comes to skins, so I do some with skin, so basically half with skin and half without. That way it appeases everybody, right? So we're going to just chop up the last 2 potatoes here quickly. So you want kind of even chunks. about, they say cube size, and just try and keep them the same size so that they will cook evenly.
This chopping is uniform.
Yes, we try. And in the big stock pot on the stove right now, I have 8 cups of chicken stock simmering. So this recipe makes enough for 10 servings, which sounds like a whole lot, and it is a whole lot. But this is a good one for, like I said before, freezing, or having some now and having some later, or giving it away to friends and family. So
I think it'd be so lovely, like on a cold day, you know, show up with warm soup.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I would love you as my neighbor.
Soup and a loaf of bread and call it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing better than comfort food.
Right.
Okay, we're almost done. Good thing I didn't do all 14 potatoes. We'd be here all day.
This is only a 45-minute show.
That's right. Okay, so that is our potatoes already. Is our chicken stock simmering?
It's almost there.
Almost there.
Nearly
Okay. All right. So we're going to put this in, and what you're going to do is cook it until it's fork tender. So much like when you make mashed potatoes, you can stick a fork in easily. That's what you want, just softened up. You don't want any hard pieces in there because there's nothing worse.
And you don't want it to like crumble either. You want it to have kind of some...
A little bit, yeah. I mean, we're going to use the immersion blender or a regular blender to blend it up anyways, so if it crumbles a little bit, that's okay. There's some smaller pieces in there, but you just want it to be softened. So, think we're ready?
I think we're ready.
Okay, so we're going to take our potatoes, and we're going to gently...
Go away from you.
Yes.
Don't go towards you, away from you.
Yeah. So I brought my big stock pot today because there's a lot of potatoes and quite a lot of liquid. Yeah. So the bigger, the better. That way it's safer. There we go. All in there. Everybody in the swimming pool.
Good, good.
All right. And I'm just going to, can I use this one?
Yeah, that's
okay. Perfect. So I'm just going to give it a quick spin. And then we're just going to wait for it to boil. So it takes about 15 minutes. So once it's up to a boil, then we'll come back and we'll show you how to finish off the soup. Okay, our 15 minutes is up and the potatoes are now fork tender. So we've tested those. So what we're going to do is lower the heat, turn that down a bit, and we are going to add 2 bricks of softened cream cheese. And I like to cut them up into smaller chunks, that way it will melt quicker into the soup. So we're just going to gently put them in. Again, remember that the liquid is very, very hot. As the kids would say, it's lava. So be very gentle. There we go. That's 1 and 2. And now we're just going to let the cream cheese melt a little bit. So we'll give this a good stir. And definitely the heat in here is going to make, oh, it's all creamy already. Look at that.
Ooh.
So it's almost done. All right. And then what we're going to do is now use our immersion blender. Again, if you don't have an immersion blender, you could definitely use a potato masher. Just be very careful because, again, the liquid is hot. Or you could take some out and put it into a regular blender and blend it up. Depends on how chunky you want the soup. Some people like to have chunks of potato in their potato soup. So blend it as much or as little as you would like. So I've got my immersion blender here, and we're just going to turn it on and stand back. I like that it sucks it down all the time.
Yes.
Ooh.
I'd say that's pretty good.
That looks amazing.
Okay, so what we're going to do is plate it up in a bowl. I'm making a mess here. And then I'll show you how we top it. Again, topping it is going to be similar to what you would do on a loaded potato. So you could put sour cream on the top of it. You could put bacon bits or some grated cheese. So I'm just gonna rinse the ladle here. There we go. Perfect. Whoops. Okay. And the nice thing about this recipe you'll find when Adriana posts it is that this can be done either on the stovetop, in a crock pot, or in an Instapot. So all three instructions, oh, I'm making a mess, are listed in the recipe. So the crock pot will take 10 hours on low or 6 hours on high, so you're gonna have to plan ahead for that one. Instapot takes no time at all, of course. And then stovetop took probably, I would say about a half hour or so. So, okay, I'm just going to come over here and we'll top it with some cheese and bacon bits. And we'll call it a day. So, can't go wrong with shredded cheese. And of course, have to have, oh, maybe. New package.
Not today.
There we go. We'll put a little bit of bacon bits on top. And there's your loaded potato soup.